Okay, so we're going to talk about when we're in a service and there's a spontaneous moment that happens, what the band is going to be doing, what the music directors are going to be doing. Just to kind of play this in real time, we all have no idea what Taylor is going to do. He's going to lead a song that we're aware of that's planned in the set, but he's going to do something after that that's spontaneous. The one thing I do know is that Taylor has a direct line to the Holy Spirit, so it will be good. I just don't know what it's going to be. So we ready? Okay, let's do it.
Let's just do a big chorus of Coming Back in C. I'll count us in. In chorus, 2, 3.
Coming back to first love, coming back to Jesus, coming back to you. No
Let's go 6 here.
no more going through the motions. You're my one devotion. I'm
Let's bring it down.
coming back to you.
1,
Coming back to
2.
you, Lord. Coming back to you, God. 'Cause you're all that matters. You're all that
Keep that progression.
matters. Yeah. Oh. And I just want
2.
you.
Bring it down a little bit.
And nothing else. And nothing
To the 6.
else. And nothing else will do.
Bring it in a
I
little bit.
just
Support him.
want you. And nothing else. And nothing else.
Okay, let's pick it up. Let's bring it in on this one.
Will do. I just want you. And nothing else. And nothing else. And nothing else.
Let's go one more time. Hit a build.
I just want you. And nothing else will do. I'm caught up in
2.
your presence. And I just
1.
wanna sit here.
Hold the 1 here.
At your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment.
Let's bring it down on the 1 here.
Never wanna leave.
And we'll just hold that.
I never wanna leave. I never wanna leave. Cause I'm coming back to first love, coming back to
I'm gonna cut the
Jesus,
click.
coming back to you. And no more going through the motions. You're my one devotion. I'm coming
Let's swell the
back
1 here.
to you.
Support it.
Hallelujah, Lord. We worship you, God. Yeah.
Cool.
That was awesome. It was beautiful.
That was fun.
That was a great call too. I love that's like perfect thematically.
I didn't plan it until we got there.
It was perfect. Yeah, see, I told you it was going to be good.
Yeah.
Okay, so much just happened. I have a couple things that jumped out to me. But Jace, maybe talk about, you spent a lot of time during that talking through what I noticed was dynamics and chords. And then basically you saw Taylor give you a couple signals up and down within that you pivoted. So maybe break those down.
Yeah, so again, I mean, I had no idea where you were going to go. So it's a little bit of a surprise. But yeah, I think, well, one, you started, we were doing that chorus to start it off all in, and you gave us the sign, let's bring it down. So I don't know where you're going to want to go. So I'm like, let's just keep that progression in case you want to just keep the chorus going.
Yeah.
And if you want to do something different, we'll change with you. So we kept that going, and then you went to Nothing Else. And luckily that has kind of like a lead in vocally. So I heard you start it, and so I just went directly to the 2. And that's when I started calling chords. You know, if we're doing that and the band is kind of like, oh, where are we going? Maybe they don't have enough of your vocal. I can at least call the number so that they know what chord we're going to. So no one's playing different things. We're all on the same page. And then, yeah, just watching your body language and the way you're going about things, I realize you're really like starting to get into it. So I'm like, let's bring in the band. Let's kind of lift it up and just keep it going. We'll build it. And then just following you still wherever you want to go with that. But that was kind of the gist of it.
I was even going to add to what you said, how, you know, if a bass player doesn't have the vocal super loud or whatever, I would even take that a step further to go using the numbers, like you said, Nashville numbers. They don't even have to have ever really like heard the song before, and we can get through a moment like that. And so using the numbers are kind of key to that. So basically it's 1 through, I guess, 8 technically, but 7 really, because 8 is the same as 1. It's an octave, in just a major scale. And we can move that to any key. So whatever, you know, we're playing in, I don't know what key we were just playing in.
C.
We're playing in C. So the numbers kind of are basically the major scale of that key. And so a new guitar player, a new bass player, a new piano player can just know, well, I know 2 is D. So it's easy to translate from one key to the next. And again, they don't even really ever have to have heard the song before, and you can get through those moments.
Yeah. And it's a lot simpler than like trying to follow and you're like shouting A sharp minor, like some random thing. But then, this guitar player has a capo on, so it's actually not even that. He's playing different voicings.
It's just a universal language for everybody who's playing an instrument to be on the same page about what we're doing.
Right. And one thing I would say is, you know, we're calling this a spontaneous moment, but there's so much that goes in to be having the freedom to do those moments. Absolutely. And I think building that into our team is what gives us the confidence that we're not going to go off the rails. But we have this language that we've developed. We've played that song before, so it's rare, if ever, that I would bust out a song that no one knew. But if I knew that, like, hey, we've got a bass player that is there, I know they're not at a level where they're going to be able to handle a moment like that, I would probably, you know, maybe think twice before going into like a just total spontaneous section. But I think the other things that I was thinking about too, as we were kind of going through there was a couple of things I was like, oh, what if we did this? But having if you're a worship leader, whether you play an instrument or not, having an awareness of what are the chord structures of these different sections. Because I'm able to go into nothing else. I knew that you would catch the vocal pickup. I'm caught up in. That's plenty of time for you to get that chord sent to the band. So I knew you would grab that. And then I kind of like just the way that the sections went in and out of each other. Just kind of like thinking through that before you get there is, I think, really helpful to the team. Totally. And so there's so much preparation that goes in just to have the freedom to kind of respond to what the Spirit of God is doing. So
I thought it was interesting. One thing I noticed is that Becca and I grabbed the melody and harmony as soon as you started singing on Nothing Else.
Oh, yeah.
Which was interesting because you then started going off melody and doing different little ad libs within it. But we were both holding down what would be the traditional melody, which I think is actually, it feels small but could be really important because you can lift what's happening in that moment, change the dynamic, change the energy, but the congregation has something they can follow and still sing to within that. And so I think it was great that you jumped in immediately. I started following you with melody, and we didn't ever depart from that. We held it down the rest of the time. The other thing I noticed was that at the very end, Jace, you cut the click when Taylor was starting to slow down a little bit, and you could kind of feel that he was wanting to really bring that moment down and end it and not maybe go somewhere else. But then you also made the read as soon as he sang in the last line, the timbre of his voice completely shifted. It went more into a chest voice, and you said, let's bring a big swell in there. So maybe in that particular service, it would have been something that was transitioning into offering or announcements or something like that. Taylor knows that. So his cue was to sing with a little more gravitas, and you followed it by saying, let's support that with a swell, which I thought was really, really
totally.
You could easily miss how small that was, but man, that you live and die by the transition moments, and that would have been huge.
Yeah, totally.
I wonder too if it's worth talking about, which obviously we don't have a full band here, but in a moment like that, just if we're coming out of a song where we had like tracks that are super full and like we're just at level 10 in terms of energy and parts and everything, and then going into a flow moment where maybe, you know, we're not going to use tracks for that moment, like keys, guitar, instrumentation. How do you kind of fill more space in a moment like that when there's no tracks?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on, you know, one, what all is in your band. Do you have a lead guitar player and a rhythm guitar player? Do you only have one guitar player? And there's different approaches to a lot of that. But yeah, if, say, I was just the only guitar player in that exact scenario, and I'm playing the lead line for Coming Back, the first song we did, and we've got full tracks and everything's sitting good, and then we go to, you know, all of this other stuff with no other tracks, I'd probably switch to something that is a little more with like chord structures, not just playing like a single note lead, so that I can help give it a little bit more of a foundation. And you don't want to like have everyone start overplaying to complicate stuff, but knowing, hey, I have, you know, a pad going, I may open the filter a little bit so it's a little brighter, since we don't have tracks, and it kind of supplements for some of that synth stuff. So it's just, you know, you're doing different things, approaching it with like, okay, what space do I need to fill? Whereas normally the tracks are doing all this stuff. So I'm just going to, you know, switch kind of the way I'm doing things for those scenarios.
And I think that kind of gets to like also like what's our approach to tracks? Are we relying on them for our sound, or are they complementing what we're already doing? And I think the longer that we've kind of been playing together, like they're more complementary or even auxiliary.
Yeah.
Obviously they help a lot, but we know that the real tools of our sound are what we're actually playing. And so when we lose them, we lose a little bit, but we've still got the meat and potatoes of what we're doing.